I'll get to the video here. Okay. All right, I'll do a little narration here on the images. All right, so that's the beach in Cancale. Walked down this hill, got to it. It was kind of a rainy day, rain off and on. And that's what one of the little oyster stands looked like. They weren't that expensive. Fresh out of the muck, the briny muck. That's the main drag on that part of Cancale. And the tides there are enormous. In fact, they were so strong during D-Day, the Allies deemed they could not use northern Brittany because the tides were too much in places. But it's the tides that allow them to do all this oyster fishing or whatever, farming. Walking up this hill in Cancale to a war memorial. And from there, a good view. That's the main drag I just had a picture of. From that vantage point, there's a World War I war memorial. And those sort of things are all over France. A nice shot, beautiful little town. I'd like to see it in Christmas. That's the oyster beds. I have no idea how they do this. But those guys are in and out of there on tractors all day long. And that's Mont Saint-Michel. That's as close as I got to it. And that's a picture of it. I was hoping to get there, but... That is oyster traps, oyster fishermen. This is Cancale, France in northern Brittany. St. Malo's that way about 20 miles. This is all oyster, I don't know, farms? I don't know what it is. This is the oyster capital of the world. The tide is out. I don't know how this works, but this local population, this is how they make their living, this and tourism. Zoom in on some places. Those are oyster stations where they sell. I'm sure they sell oysters to other places, but I'm going to eat some of these before I leave this quaint little seaside town and let you know what I think of their oysters. Now, my mom used to make oysters all the time. That's a war memorial for the First World War. Hiked up this little hill for all this. Pretty, isn't it? Very pretty. Down there you can get oysters on the strip. You can get oysters and soup and fish sandwiches and coffee and ice cream. I always wondered how this worked. I could just sit up here and watch, see what these guys do all day long. When the tide comes in, I guess more oysters come with it. I'm gonna go down there and eat some oysters here pretty soon. Tide is out. Obviously, because there are people down there with tractors. Like I was saying, I wonder if they've ever been out there and had their tractor break down, and then the tide comes in, and then they've got to get their tractor the next day after it's been underwater for 12 hours. I bet these people know how to fix a tractor that's had seawater in it. I bet. There's actually quite a few of them out there. A pretty cool place. This place is good for oysters and photographs, as far as I know. I mean, I'm not an expert on this town, but that's my take on it. I'm gonna go down there and eat some oysters. Fresh out of the muck. The briny muck. Alright. So, I don't know how this oyster farm stuff works. This is an oyster. It once was an oyster. If you want to eat oysters, that's where you eat it. Cancale, Brittany, France. Oyster capital of the world, and I'm going to eat some in a bit. And I thought for some reason they would be cooked. They are not. They're raw. So this should be interesting. I don't know how this process works. Getting kind of mucky. These locals come out here. I think they're all out on boats. That's interesting. What's out there? It's a really pretty area, to say the least. You know, a lot of Brittany is newer stuff and not all this quaint stuff, but a lot of it is like this traditional looking stuff. Mont Saint Michel is off that way. Hopefully I get out there tomorrow, hopefully. It's an objective of this trip. Just like this place was, just to come here and eat some seafood, and I'm gonna chow down here pretty soon. Tide is out. By the looks of it, when it comes in, it goes pretty far up to that seawall. You can smell oysters and brine pretty strong here. Very strong smell in here. That looks like these green things have oysters. They're like nets. I don't know. When the tide goes out, they're empty, I think. And when it comes in, I don't know how this works. Or it's a farm, and they put them in here when they're young baby oysters and harvest them when they grow. I don't know. Let's have a look. Tell you what, my feet are sinking in this stuff. Ooh. I'm gonna lose a sneaker in this stuff. Alright, I think I've gone far enough out. I'm sinking. Here's the oyster, whatever they are. I don't know how this process works. I don't know. No idea. Yep, that's it. And the water comes out, and you know you got it. And the locals just throw the shells over the side. Give it
That's a winner. Ooh, that's a loogie. Folks, see you in the background. Here we go, folks. Bon appetit. Au revoir.